Good morning. Today is Tuesday, August the 20th. Welcome to another edition of Angry Taxpayer. I'm your host, Donna Smirnitopoulos. Welcome to my channel, and make sure to hit like below. Please subscribe to my channel. I've heard from a few random viewers that though you like the channel and you're watching the videos, subscribing or even hitting the like button can be a problem. One viewer said he could not afford the exposure. That's a shame, not for me exclusively, but for the people of the city. No one should have to be afraid of repercussions, retribution, reprisals, or negative consequences simply for liking a YouTube video, even a video that's critical of City Hall and the mayor. But when folks tell me they're concerned, I believe them. I've been a victim of a petty payback mentality myself, and I don't blame anyone for being cautious. We have lots to talk about today. First, an update on Mushak's bulimia. If you haven't seen yesterday's post, take a look. There are anecdotal reports, this is breaking news, anecdotal reports that those who allow Mushak to bankroll their blog can achieve immunity to or remission from Mushak's bulimia. Food for thought, no pun intended. I have a meeting reminder. Tonight, the Ordinance Committee of the Common Council will hold a public hearing on a proposed ban on polystyrene. And pardon me, today I'm trying something new. I'm trying to read from a script, so it compels me to look away from the screen. So polystyrene, commonly known as Styrofoam. The chair of the Ordinance Committee, Eloisa Melendez, has presided over a few similar ordinances. We banned plastic bags and plastic straws. Some people call them feel-good measures. I'm one of those people. I've been using my own carry-out bags for several years now. But I think that imposing the fee on the residents when they forget their reusable bags is regressive. It hurts the poor more than anybody else. Yesterday, I was driving home from Costco, which, as we all know, does not supply any bags. They do. You can take a box for free, however. And I was driving behind a Norwalk transit bus with a PSA kind of billboard on it in Spanish. And it was alerting people to bring their own bags. Nowhere did it say that people would be charged for paper bags if they forgot to bring their own. And I think that was a very curious oversight. Most of us are fully on board with protecting the environment and reducing landfill waste. It's the punitive fee that makes most of us recoil. And now that I've run out of leftover Stews bags, I had to invest in some Glad. Glad makes a small size garbage bag, and I bought some of those so I can use them to line my waste paper baskets and to pick up after my dogs. I have 3 bulldogs, and it's quite a mess to clean up. So mission accomplished, Council. You've signaled to the people of Norwalk that you are good human beings. And I'm sure that the room is going to be packed tonight with the usual folks who will turn out in droves for something like a ban on polystyrene, but who might not show up next week when they're really needed for an issue of great consequence to everyone who lives in the city. Next Wednesday, August 28th, the Planning Committee of the Common Council, chaired by John Citywide, will hold a public hearing in the council chambers on the Plan of Conservation and Development. The hearing will begin promptly at 6:30 p.m. My experiences with Mr. Citywide are that he begins on time and he ends as soon as he can. He's going to hold you to the 3-minute limit, and he will threaten to call security if you're me and you dare to go over that limit. Because God knows the biggest threat to the city of Norwalk nowadays is people who go over their 3-minute limit when they're addressing the council. Now I'd like to go on to the big top of the day. I'm going to revisit the Plan of Conservation and Development, in case you're concerned, in a later post, but I didn't think I had the time to get it in today. So I want to talk today about the mayor's dashboard. Mayor Rilling unveiled a dashboard that charts the city's progress. I'm going to read to you what supposedly he, but it might have been Josh Morgan, has to say about it. Welcome to the mayor's dashboard. We've presented this information in a modern way to tell the story of what is happening all around Norwalk. Most of this work occurs behind the scenes, don't we know? But I felt it was important to put this information directly in the hands of the public. Don't be mistaken or fooled into thinking this means we now have transparency. We do not. He concludes by saying, I will hope you will take the time to explore the mayor's dashboard and let us know what you think as we continue to grow and expand. Your feedback is critical and will help inform where we go next. Not entirely. I mean, we gave a lot of feedback, copious feedback, when the Common Council approved the Wall Street plan of redevelopment, Wall Street West Avenue plan, and no one said they wanted it except for a couple developers. And the council approved it. So I don't know. They're listening, but they're not hearing. In any event, I'd like to get back to the dashboard. Let's see, the finance director in the article on Nancy on Norwalk, Henry Dashowitz, said that this was basically a cost-neutral undertaking. And I think that would be true. I mean, they didn't hire a consultant to do it, supposedly. So that would be true, that it was cost-neutral. But he doesn't factor into it the additional staff that we have now that we didn't have a year ago because of the reorganization. So we've called it the $1 million reorg. The mayor and his administration have disputed the numbers. But if you include Leisha King, who didn't exist, a couple of years ago. She was hired, I think, in 2016. So she's now at $140,000 a year. If you compound her salary, you add her past couple of years in there, throw in Josh Morgan, we haven't recouped what we lost in grants, and then you add a couple more chiefs, and who knows who Kathy Hebert works for anymore or where her salary is paid. Is it coming out of the regular city budget? She's now one of the chiefs. Is it coming out of the Norwalk Parking Authority? A lot of that is still pretty murky as far as I'm concerned. So, I think that it would be more accurate to consider the cost of the additional staff before the CFO says that this didn't really cost much money. I'm going to show you some snapshots of the interactive dashboard. Mayor says it's a work in progress, so let's hope so. There are over 100 data points, says the mayor, but there's no data for any year before 2019. There's one page that has something from 2018, but that's as far back as we go. Now, Mayor Rilling was elected in November of 2013, so I think to be fair, if we wanted to get a snapshot of his progress as a mayor, we would go back to 2014. So that way we could truly catalog tax increases and have a really an accurate cost benefits. There are multiple categories, and this is interactive, so you can expand the windows. I'm going to go through the categories. First one is a fiscally strong city, a growing and vibrant city, a livable city, a safe and welcoming city, and we need safe and welcoming now that we have a mall about to open, a city of the people, to be determined, and a city at work. I find it interesting that these categories dovetail neatly into the proposed plan of conservation and development. It's almost as if the mayor and the staff knew that the Common Council was going to pass the POCD without any additional changes that the public want. For instance, the public has been very clear about expressing that there be some sort of optimal growth numbers, and that's not included. Many people have called for a moratorium on the construction of multi-story, high-density apartment developments, and that hasn't happened. And just as a comparison, Milford recently put a moratorium on their affordable housing developments. So Milford felt that they were being taken advantage of by developers. They've announced a 4-year moratorium. If they include trailer parks, they're hitting the 10% mark that's mandated by 830G. We are well over it. We're at about 14%. So any candidate who called for some kind of a moratorium, you've got my vote. And that includes Common Council candidates as well as, especially, most importantly, the mayoral candidates. I haven't heard this from either one. I'm hoping to hear it from one of our candidates. I think that this would be a great time to take a stand on overdevelopment and to at least demand ROI, return on investment, presentations. So I'm going to look at fiscally strong city and a growing and vibrant city. And I'm going to show you my terrible black and white. Here we go. So this one is a fiscally strong city. And you can pull this up yourself. What I find interesting here is, well, a couple things. They list Connecticut Light and Power as they list the top 10 taxpayers. Connecticut Light and Power is at the top. Now, Connecticut Light and Power is paying personal property tax on all their wires and cables. So if you break down the grand list breakdown, which is where all the revenue comes from, and 90% of it comes from taxes, you'll see that the figure for personal property is less than 10% of what the real estate figure is. And the same with motor vehicle. So I took the pie chart, and hopefully you can see this. I tried to make it a more accurate reflection of what we actually pay. So this is us. And when I say us, I mean residential, people who live in single family homes and pay taxes on those homes. This is commercial property. And again, that would be real estate tax. And then in here is motor vehicle and personal property. So even though, it's accurate to say that Connecticut Light and Power is the single biggest payer, in aggregate, the residential homeowners are covering half the cost to run the city. So this is why when there's growth, we pay. So things that are left off of here, you do see a category for, let me see, I'm going to take this highlighted one, for senior citizens and disabled receiving tax credits, and that's this figure in this big box, and those are the numbers. But there's nothing here for those who are receiving tax abatements in the enterprise zone. I'm not sure why they chose to leave that off, but I promise you that was a choice. That was a conscious choice. Right now, we have Ironworks in the middle of its 7-year tax abatement, and the Sono Collection at the beginning of their 7-year tax abatement. So that's millions of dollars over the duration of the abatement period that we are surrendering in revenue. So don't be fooled by this figure regarding senior and disabled tax credits, because it is nothing compared to the tax credits we give to big developers. Let's see what else. So I want to look at a growing and vibrant city, and then we're going to conclude because I've already gone over my time limit. So here is my terrible black and white printout, and you can see the growth trend line here for Norwalk. We really spiked in growth. Now, is this a good thing? And what kind of growth are we experiencing? A lot of people talk about wanting to draw the coveted millennials into the city. And if we've been doing that, then they're not spending their money here. Just the way for the Affordable Care Act, we needed millennials to pay for health insurance because they were young and healthy. And so they would be subsidizing our premiums, and that didn't pan out. Our premiums, people my age, they just kept going up. So here we go. What the chart does not say is that most of the growth, as reflected by data from the Norwalk Public Schools, is in poverty. We are growing poverty. We are now close to 60% students qualifying eligible for free and reduced lunch. That is a key poverty indicator. We are, according to Chairman Barbas, a 73% minority school district, soon to be 75%. Most of the growth in minority enrollment is in the Latino community. And we know this because earlier this year, Director of Operations Frank Costanzo reported decreases among the Black and white student population. Our overall Latino population is about 27%. So this suggests that much of the enrollment growth is among non-English speaking students. And that means additional costs for English language learners. Where is the money going to come from to provide an education that costs 40% more than so-called regular ed? It's going to come from residential taxpayers. And the reason that the pressure is falling on residential taxpayers, and the reason I continue to be angry about it, is that we're not getting the money we need from Hartford in order to be able to do right by our students. And in order to meet the need of the Norwalk student population, they don't have any choice but to raise taxes on us. And you saw in this pie chart how big us is. We're half the money, all right? So they don't have a choice. Unless we start to get more money from Hartford, it's going to come out of our wallets. Our Senate Majority Leader, he didn't get to be Senate Majority Leader over and over again by doing favors for Norwalk. He got there by doing favors for other districts, for West Hartford, for anybody who complains loudest, anybody whose vote he wants in order to be reelected. So I think it's a bit disingenuous for the mayor's interactive dashboard to trumpet growth without an explanation of where that growth is coming from and how much it's costing us. I hope to be back, if not tomorrow, the next day, to talk about the plan of conservation and development and to tell you why you should make a plan to go to that meeting. And hopefully I'll have more information about why that meeting was accelerated. It was supposed to be on the 5th of September, and it got bumped up to the Wednesday before Labor Day weekend. And if you think it's because they didn't want you to go, you could be right. So have a great day, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.